Hi guys, so today we are driving the Ssangyong Torres, known as the KGM Torres in some markets. That's because Ssangyong, the brand, is now owned by a Korean consortium called KGM. And the Torres, this is actually a Torres EVX because it's the electric variant. And the vehicle we are driving is the first Torres in Sri Lanka. Huge thank you to Microcars and Dr. Lawrence Perera and of course Shehan Tissera, who's in the back seat right now.
Yes.
And it's, as I mentioned, an EV, a very nice, very smooth one at that. So you were in the back seat, Mahen. What's your impressions of the back seat of this vehicle?
Well, I was really cocooned in the back, felt really smooth. I in fact commented Ashrak while Shehan was driving. It felt really nice, Ashrak. And of course, I expected this kind of acceleration, but the smoothness was also really something that I noticed very well.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy from the driving seat as well. Even size-wise, it's about a mid-size. But I like the fact, Mahen, that you can actually see a lot of the bonnet from the driving seat, especially those little pseudo handles up there,
correct.
which give it a very Land Rover-ish kind of feel. And
That is true.
then you look inside, you've got this nice digital instrument cluster, you've got a dashboard which is actually covered in leather, you've got soft touch surfaces.
Yes.
Everything feels very, it's very mature, it's very grown up. You've got a multifunction steering, and these paddle shifters behind are not for gear changing since it's an EV, they are for adjusting your level of regenerative braking. And of course the cooled front seats are very nice, they're really chilling me right now.
Tell me about it. I was just about to comment on that, Ashrak.
Signal is going to turn and I'm just going to give it a good healthy dose of...
Let's go.
Oh.
Wow. Very nice. See
And
again, very smooth.
100 kilometers per hour.
Right.
The quoted is 8 seconds and I don't doubt that much.
Yeah, I mean, we can check it in the video as well.
Yeah, I
Ashrak.
think so
I'm
too.
pretty sure we hit that in 8 seconds.
Yeah, and I mean, this vehicle has 4 driving modes actually.
Yeah.
You have, what are the modes? I think, Shehan, Comfort, Eco and Sport, right?
Yeah.
And of course the Snow mode.
Right, the snow mode is not relevant to us, I guess.
No, but when we were driving this vehicle for MotorMag, we had a very interesting occurrence that happened.
Right.
And that is where we accidentally activated the Snow mode and couldn't figure out how to turn it off.
Oh my gosh.
But then we figured it out finally. It is you have to long press on the mode selector to get the Snow mode out.
I see.
Because, yeah, like you said, it's not relevant here. And Snow mode, it dulls the throttle response. It makes the vehicle a lot less nippy, obviously,
Yeah,
because
of course.
you don't want wheel spin and all that in snow.
Of course.
Having said that, sometimes the snow mode can be useful in a sort of a muddy situation or like a wet surface, gravel wet surface situation where the torque will be controlled, and though we don't have snow, we can have mud also.
Okay, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Good point. Thanks, Shehan. And Ashrak, now...
And that's a good point also what Shehan made, because I should also mention that there is no all-wheel drive version available of this vehicle at the moment. And I said this in my MotorMag review, I'm going to say it again here because I would like to appeal to KGM. Make an all-wheel drive variant, please. This vehicle has everything to be like a one-size-fits-all family adventure vehicle, if you will. It's got enormous boot space, it's got enough cabin space, it's got so many friendly features, it's got a lot of safety equipment.
Yeah.
So yes, please make it in all-wheel drive.
That is true, Ashrak. And we are now getting on the highway, where here in Sri Lanka it's a bright sunny morning, and again a lovely day to be in a vehicle that has ventilated seats. It's really cooling us, right, Ashrak?
Yeah, it's very, very pleasant. I mean, and that's another point, Mahen, we should make to our readers when you're driving on the highway.
Yes.
Never get too comfortable. We've seen a recent horrendous crash of a Mercedes-Benz where highlights how the highway can be quite mesmerizing when you drive on it for a long time. So yes, always be aware.
Yeah, safety first.
Safety first, exactly. And speaking of safety, Mahen, this vehicle has a lot of safety features. I mean, it has lane keeping, lane steering assist, it's got adaptive cruise control. So
play of the sun.
basically, I could fall asleep in this vehicle at the wheel if I'm not careful. No, we are not going to go there, Mahen. We are not going there.
Yeah,
But
that is true, Ashrak. I mean, it's interesting that this vehicle comes in a non-EV variant as well, which we don't have in the country. We only have a handful of these currently in Sri Lanka. Shehan told us there are 5 more coming in, but that might be it, Ashrak.
Mahen, have a look at this.
Yeah.
Now it is doing the lane following thing. I'm just maintaining a grip on the steering wheel to show you how it tells you to keep your hand on the wheel.
Right.
And now it is telling me to slow down. In fact, it's slowing down on its own because I just engaged the adaptive cruise control. And if you will note, we had a good distance to go from that tipper truck in front of us. So that's very safe. It's really being quite conservative, certainly more conservative than we as drivers would be in Sri Lanka, which is great because if that truck had suddenly braked, I would have enough reaction time to stamp on the brakes in this car, which are excellent, by the way.
Correct.
And once again, you can see I'm in the lane here. I'm maintaining a grip on the steering, but the vehicle is also steering along for me. So in a way, it's not totally doing the steering for me, I'd say, but it is there to like help me should I veer too close to the guardrail. It's there to just give a bit of a hang on a second, you seem to be veering off kind of feeling. And of course, if I take my hands off the wheel, as I will show you on a straight stretch, the vehicle will shout at me. Let's just take my hands off the wheel because they're going straight right now. Hands off the wheel, still going, but I have to put my hands back on because I don't want to take them off during this intersection that's being made here. Let's just pick up the speed a bit more.
Very smooth.
Absolutely effortless.
I mean, it's really nice, Ashrak, where the seating position and the interior overall, it feels a lot seamless in here as well.
It is, Mahin, and the driving position in particular, it's very comfortable, and it's also, I've got to say, it doesn't feel too elevated. I mean, a lot of crossovers and SUVs give you an elevated driving position, which is part of their, their sales pitch, so to speak. That's what they are meant to give you, like the feeling like you're on top of everyone else. But here, even though I'm seated in more like a chair-like position than a stretched-out position, like I would be in my Nissan, for example, I still don't feel like I'm too high. I don't feel like Big Bird, basically.
But the interesting part is, Ashrak, what you highlighted in your article in the Motor Mag as well, is the fact that you see the hood. It's actually nice.
Yeah, and it's one of those things I really miss about many modern cars, Mahin.
Yeah, exactly. And this touchscreen, Ashrak, it seems to be one seamless unit. It's got two separate screens. I think one is for your
one's the gauge cluster,
and then the other one is for media and entertainment. Very nice.
And everything's operated from the touchscreen, and that's why to make a little point here where to reach out and touch the home button, I have to stretch a little bit there, which, for someone like me, I'm more of a physical buttons kind of guy. I would have liked to see some buttons, particularly for the climate control system, because the only way to interact with that is via the touchscreen. But I also have quite a few controls on my steering wheel here for things like media and the safety systems and the cruise control. So those I can control from here. But the climate control system, Mahin, I have to reach out and interact with the touchscreen for that.
That's a good point you made as well, Ashrak. I think when it comes to EVs, sometimes the styling is such that they want to make it feel a little more sophisticated, so they have everything on like a screen. But to your point, it's also nice to have one of those physical touches as well, knobs maybe, to give it that kind of hybrid kind of feel, in terms of styling and design.
And that's also because Mahin, basically I can't adjust those settings without taking my eyes off the road, whereas in physical buttons and knobs you gain muscle memory, so you know where the controls are.
Okay, fair enough.
I guess with time you would know where to touch on the screen.
Correct.
One way you could also do it is where you have the climate control as your screen when you're driving the vehicle. Because like I said, you can control the media from the steering wheel. And speaking of media, you've got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on board. So Android users like me, Apple users like you, both are satisfied.
We can coexist.
I mean, I remember when I was testing the MG ZS, initially those came with Apple CarPlay because Apple CarPlay was more of a upmarket feature at the time. So catering to Apple users, that came with Apple CarPlay, whereas it didn't have Android Auto. But now cars have both, many cars like this. And I think the current crop of MGs also do have Android Auto as well, given that Android phones are incredibly popular in China. I mean, I'm using a Chinese phone, and your iPhone is made in China.
That is true, Ashrak. And again, the cooling system in this car is quite good, Ashrak. Very comfortable. I like the color of the interior. It's a tan-ish and black kind of arrangement we've got in here.
I'm just going to interrupt you for a minute because we are coming up on what appears to be a classic car. I think it's a nice contrast, don't you think? That is a Ford Shehan. That's a Cortina, right?
Wow.
Here we are.
A little bit of modification, but it's nice.
Yeah. Past and future. But I bet that guy is having a ball in that car too, Mahen. I mean, we featured some classics on our channel.
Yes. Please feel free to go and check them out. We've got quite a few interesting videos, as Ashok mentioned, on classic cars as well. So, I mean, we don't discriminate, Ashok.
We don't discriminate.
Anything, yes. And,
Anything goes.
Yeah, and the thing is that, you know, we are super excited. And again, like you said, a big thank you to Microcast, Shehan, and also the chairman for allowing us to do this review today.
Yeah, because I think I should point out, Mahen, that this is the first brand new 2024 model of car that we are doing on RevMatch.
Yes.
So,
Driving, yes.
yeah, so it's kind of a watershed moment for us too.
Yeah, I mean, so Ashok, again, like you said, I was sitting in the back while Shehan was driving, and in terms of the space, the rear space is amazing actually. The legroom is like more than what you would need actually. I know this doesn't come in a 7-seat variant, however, I think it fits the purpose. I mean, if you want an SUV, this goes as a compact SUV, but you don't feel that it's a compact
That
SUV.
is true, Mahen.
Side.
And I'm happy that there aren't 7 seats, because there are some
Right.
vehicles from, let's say, certain European manufacturers that are smaller than this but claim to have 7 seats.
Yeah.
I have tested them, and I feel the only way I could get into the third row of those is if I chop my legs off. There's no way an adult of average size like me
Yeah.
would fit in the back of one of those. So
Yeah.
having 7 seats isn't always ideal. I mean,
Mhm.
I'd always take a bigger boot over 7 seats wherever possible.
Right. Interesting perspectives, Ashok.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't plan on having any more kids.
That's what you say now, so let's see how it goes.
Oh no, man. Oh no way, man.
Okay.
Kids are quite. And I think that's why a vehicle like this, I mean, it has some quite interesting kid-friendly features in a way. Like, for example, you can put, I think, up to 3 child seats in the rear.
Right.
And it also has another really interesting feature, Mahen, which is where you can actually shut off the rear speakers. So let's say somebody is sleeping in the back, but you want to listen to your favorite music in the front.
Right.
You can have the best of both worlds.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, you can do that with some cars, but you have to go into the fader and manually do it. Here it's just a tap.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a very thoughtful touch, I feel. And then you have, of course, your device charging ports at the back there. So if you are inclined to give your kids an iPad or whatever, they can keep it charged and they don't need to fuss. Air vents are there so nobody gets too hot or too cold.
Yeah. So Ashok, it's got power assisted rear curtains as well?
I'm not sure. I don't think those are power. Not power. No,
assisted.
Shehan.
No. Okay, got it. But still, rear curtains.
Yeah.
Really help.
It's a very nice feature also having rear curtains. Oops,
Correct.
I almost missed the exit.
Oh.
You will have to go to Katunayaka then, Mahen. So, Mahen is behind the wheel now.
Yeah, I mean, wow, very nice. I mean, this is exactly what I expected it to feel like, Ashok. Again, like in terms of steering feel, I think there is directional stability. It doesn't feel too soft, Ashok, which is good. Right?
Yeah.
And, it feels nice. It doesn't feel unsafe, so it's great. Although this car is, of course, really smooth and lovely to drive, you might expect it to also feel a little soft on the steering, but it doesn't feel that way. I think that's quite good, Ashok. I mean, for a vehicle like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Mahen, and that's true. It's another good point you make there, because a lot of, especially Japanese cars in particular with EPS, so electric power steering, the steering can be quite light, whereas here it's very confidence inspiring. It's more
correct.
European, I feel.
Correct. Your driving style will not like change, like from driving a normal car to this. I think you will still kind of feel the same, that you're driving something, it's basically you're driving an SUV. It doesn't feel like you're driving a car.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that at all. And how do you find the driving position, Mahen?
Driving position is really good. I just adjusted my seat in terms of ride height and everything. Like you said, Ashok, it doesn't sit too high up also. But the fact that you can see over the hood and the side, the bumps, it's really nice. It really
I mean, it's really
adds
beautiful.
to the
Really good that you can
character.
see the little handles, and you can see that there is a proper hood in front. It's not like a vehicle where just nothing in front of you can see.
Correct.
Not
so-
here. You can put a U here.
We
Put a
can,
U here.
yeah.
Yes, put a U here.
Yeah, just one U and then.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Okay, and
Yeah. So Ashok, this rides on 20-inch alloys. A very interesting looking design as well, but you need to be mindful, especially when you're parking like curbs in Sri Lanka. You can damage it, so you need to be a little cautious because it's slightly projected outwards as well.
And as Shehan was telling us, these are diamond cut alloys, so if you
Yes.
curb them, you can't really cosmetically repair them. You have to replace the alloy basically.
Correct. And then Ashrak again, like I was saying, wow, throttle response is really good.
That's because you're in sport mode, man.
Yeah. But either way, I feel, Ashrak, this is probably a vehicle that will give you that kind of response because it's electric. And for a compact SUV, although Ashrak now it gets classified as a compact SUV, like I was saying, inside you don't feel that way, right? It's very spacious, it's luxurious. I really like the color tone in terms of the interior as well, the tan and
Mind
black.
to flow it a bit and see
Yeah,
how it feels.
yeah, let me see. Oh,
How is that for you?
very nice. Let me just do it once more.
Yep, go for it.
Wow, effortless. And Ashrak, the suspension is also quite great. It really irons out all the bumps. And it feels like I'm floating down this motorway. So you go straight from there and
Yeah,
then
you go
take a
straight
right.
from there and you take a right at the
Okay.
next traffic light.
Nice.
So yeah,
Very
last weekend you were experiencing the turbo diesel torque of the 520D.
Yes.
Here you're experiencing electric torque,
Correct.
which is
And interestingly, the
Instantaneous.
1959 series too as well, with the
Oh, yeah.
300 TDI.
yeah.
Yeah.
So some very different animals we've been featuring
Yeah.
over the past few weeks,
Yeah.
haven't we, Mahin?
Can I tell you something, Ashrak? Remember we reviewed the Range Rover Vogue a while back, right?
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, the moment I took the wheel, I felt something. That's exactly what I feel driving this car as well.
Oh yeah,
Isn't it
that was a P400, yes,
P400,
with the
yes.
2-liter turbocharged engine plus an electric motor.
Correct. And this again, Ashrak, this feels effortless, and it's of course electric, so you don't hear the engine note.
Yeah,
right?
you
But,
just hear a whine, right? A
yes.
little whine in the background.
Yes.
And there's another point I want to make, Mahin, is that the wind noise is surprisingly well hushed, right? I mean, you don't really hear a lot of wind noise when you're going fast in this vehicle.
That is true. So I'm just about to take it on the highway. I'm waiting for the light to turn
Okay, there we
green.
go.
And, okay, we're good.
So
It's a
yeah,
very
entering
beautiful,
the airport
beautiful day.
expressway just over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a really pleasant day, a lovely day today
Happy I
for a
didn't-
test drive.
Yeah, I'm happy I didn't get my signal lights confused. I usually do that all the time.
Yeah, this is European style. You have the
European, yes,
indicators on the
exactly.
left. But that's okay. That's okay.
Thank
So we are
you.
just entering the highway now.
Yeah, I intentionally didn't go too close because
Yeah, you don't want to curb those
I don't
alloys.
want to.
right?
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Yep, let's join the highway.
So I think, Shehan, when you don't put your indicators and then you kind of try to switch lanes, it automatically kind of pulls you back into the same lane, right? Or-
No, more than the indicators, what happens is the camera, if you see
Ah.
on the center of the windscreen, on
Right.
top, it takes the white lines on either side,
Right.
and then it does give you sort of a guidance.
Right.
When you come close to the line, it starts
I see.
steering automatically,
I see.
but only for a brief moment. As if there is no pressure on the steering, then what will happen is it will indicate to hold the steering. So it doesn't allow you to do like a hands-free drive just because the lane keeper system is there.
Right.
It doesn't allow you to do that.
Okay,
So you
makes
can
sense.
now experience that when you go close to the white line on the right-hand side.
Yeah. Okay.
And just say hold the steering very lightly. It'll automatically sort of turn.
So these assists will be by default switched on, right? I mean, it's not a case where you can kind of switch it off.
No, by default it's on.
Yeah.
But you can switch it off.
Oh, you can switch it off as well. Okay. So interestingly, Ashrak, now let's say you switch a lane assist or some safety feature off. Does the car, Shehan, tell you that it's off?
Yes,
Is-
definitely it indicates from time to time.
Right.
And another safety feature on this is even if you are if you make even at slow speed, if you continue to make like abrupt moves on the
Right,
steering,
right.
like flicking the steering,
Right.
Or suddenly give a jerk or sudden turn,
Yeah,
it identifies that you're under fatigue.
I see.
It assumes that you're under fatigue and starts blinking the you get a little teacup kind of a thing.
Right,
So
right, yeah, I
take
see
a break.
that. Okay.
So this is normally I experience that because obviously we sometimes are on the phone on a speaker,
Yeah,
and then suddenly we just keep steering here and there.
yeah,
It quickly identifies that you're you're under you need a break.
yes.
If not by default, after 2 hours it starts indicating that to take a break.
Okay,
After 2 hours
interesting.
drive.
So now the teacup is green,
Yeah,
which
that
means
is
it's
But
okay.
it starts becoming red and blinking.
Right, interesting.
That's when it says you need to take a break.
That's cool. Okay.
Well, the only thing this car won't do then is make the tea or coffee for you.
Exactly.
That would be nice.
Yeah, good one. And Ashrak, I'm driving at now almost 90 kilometers per hour. It doesn't feel like I'm driving that fast. Which
It
means
doesn't,
it's,
right?
Really, really nice in a way because you're in this really silky smooth car that makes you feel really nice, especially with this cooling seats. I mean, that is really, really big thing for me.
Yeah,
to be
and I think we
honest.
can't stress that enough. This is something that more vehicles in Sri Lanka should come with.
I know.
I know in India a lot of cars are now starting to have it, even the lower tier Tatas and Mahindras. I know some of them come with it now. But we've got a guy
Yeah,
who seems to think he owns both
Yeah,
sides of the road.
Look at this.
Yeah, it's clearly no idea what white lines mean. That means that this car is smarter than the driver.
Okay, I didn't realize that I was speeding just over the.
You went a
speed
little over
limit.
100,
Yes,
is it?
yes.
Well, that's okay. For brief periods, I think you are allowed to venture slightly over 100. I think it's a 10% margin when overtaking someone.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of an allowance. So you don't have to worry about things like that.
To the other lane now.
But yeah, it's deceptively smooth, right? I mean,
Yeah. What do you feel about the steering, Ashrak? I mean, the fact that you don't feel that it's really soft, right? Like it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it is a good
Most
thing. I mean,
people
it's
might-
very
yeah.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
And even though it's electric rack, you can get a bit of feedback about the road. Certainly when you accelerate hard and the wheels spin, you get a bit of torque steer as well. That's when
Yeah.
the sheer
Proper,
torque
like
from the
after
electric
sales.
motor wants to pull the steering wheel one way or the other.
Yes.
So that's something you get in powerful
It's a
front
really,
wheel drive cars. in
aggressive,
general.
not
It's-
aggressive, very
and
passive
it's,
traction controlled.
Yeah.
Nice to also see it here.
That is true.
Well, that's for enthusiasts like us. I'm sure the average driver wouldn't care for it too much. But then
That is
again, if you're driving normally or if you're driving slowly or if you don't really use the top 50% of the throttle, then you're not going to encounter that.
That is true, Ashrak. What's the range on this, Shehan? It's
On a full charge, you can go up to about 480
Wow.
kilometers.
That's awesome.
And of course, when you switch on to eco mode, and depending on your drive mode and your
Yes.
climate control on the AC,
Yes.
you get more mileage.
Yes.
And also the regeneration.
Right.
So, I presume
Not here,
we should be able to get up to about on a proper regenerative system about 500 plus,
Wow.
500, 520 easily,
Wow.
more than 525 plus.
That's brilliant.
For example, if you are driving down from Kandy,
Yeah.
I presume on a full charge you come down or you generate about 25-30 kilometers by the time you come to about Mavanella or Kegon.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That is really good. And that highlights the fact that vehicles like this are ideal for Sri Lanka because
Practical.
you can do the Jaffna trip in it basically.
No, for
Mahin.
sure.
Yeah, and with the current charging infrastructure available in Sri Lanka, where
Yeah.
CEB has a fast charger, DC fast chargers in Anuradhapura and Dabhol.
Ah, right. Right.
You can charge up to 80% of
Wow.
the vehicle and then continue.
Wow,
The
brilliant.
vehicle comes with a onboard 3 kilowatt charger.
Yes.
Which is the standard, which
Yes.
of course takes quite some time to charge.
Right.
But on the instrument cluster, it gives you information as to 3 different types of chargers.
Right.
DC fast charger, AC charger and the onboard charger.
I see.
With the current mileage and the capacity, how
much
long
more,
it will
yeah.
take to charge.
Okay, okay.
So that way you can plan your journey
Right.
nicely, and when
Right.
even if you're going on holiday,
Yes.
you know, okay, on the slow charger it will take 10 hours to charge.
Right, right.
On the DC charger it will take only half an hour to charge.
That's interesting.
So that gives you that amount of information on the cluster.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and half an hour, I mean, mine is about the time you'd spend at a rest area having a meal or whatever.
Exactly,
So, I mean, I think that
Very
whole thing
nice.
about, EVs taking a long time to charge and all
Yeah.
is now past gone. I mean,
exactly. And Ashrak, I think now this being a mid-sized SUV, but in a Sri Lankan context, this is relatively a large SUV, I
It
would
is.
say.
For Sri Lankans, it is quite large.
Yeah, and I mean, for a vehicle like that to do almost 500 kilometers per charge, I think that is something else, right? I mean, it's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited, honestly, Ashrak. This is a 2024 EVX, and driving this has been very pleasurable on the highway, and let's see how it feels like on the normal roads in Sri Lanka. A lot of traffic up ahead, though.
Yeah, the toll gate does seem to be a bit crowded, so I'm
Yes.
just going to off the video for now, and
Yeah.
let's get into the lane and get through this toll gate. Well, who do we find here?
Oh, hi again, Ashrak. We are in the back of 2024 Torres EVX, and this is not the first time you would have found me in the back of an SUV.
That is true. You do have a knack for getting into the boots of cars, don't you?
Yeah, I do, Ashrak. And then this is not a 7-seater. However, I think it delivers for what it is, and we've got a whole load of cargo space in the back here. And of course, again, like I always say, it's a good place to have a picnic if you really want, Ashrak. And it's got power assistant, boot lid and all that. Nice lights, Range Rover inspired, I guess. And yeah, Ashrak, I'm really loving it here in the back.
Cool.
And we got a little puppy over here also.
Oh yeah, hello little man. Cool. So there we are.
Okay. Cool.